as we've had plenty of action from the southern lapwings. Well, we're in the southern hemisphere here in Argentina, in northern Argentina, a couple of hours away by plane from the cosmopolitan, vibrant city of Buenos Aires. We'll all be flying back there tonight. Who will be flying back, though, to Buenos Aires to head to Austin in Texas in 5 days' time as our race winner here in round 3 of the 2022 MotoGP World Championship. I'm Matt Burt, sitting alongside me is Lewis Sotheby with Simon Crafar down in pit lane. And Lewis, it's all pointing towards this man having a fantastic chance, a golden chance ahead of his 200th MotoGP start to take his and Aprilia's first win in MotoGP.
He leads us into the Aprilia pit box. He seems very, very relaxed, doesn't he? The captain, as Aprilia have appointed him, of the ship at Aprilia Racing, which has been striving for the one MotoGP rider who's never taken a Grand Prix victory in any class. On his 200th Grand Prix start in the Premier class today, can Aleix Espargaro finally end that wait?
Just gave that Aprilia RSGP that little reassuring pat on the screen there, didn't he? He'll be hoping that it is dreamland today for the factory Aprilia team. One man, though, who may throw a big spanner in the works is this man, Pramac Racing Ducati rider Jorge Martin. He was very, very confident, very positive about his victory prospects in the post-qualifying press conference yesterday. It's a third consecutive front row start for the Spanish rider, looking to register his first points of what's been a pretty tricky start to his second season in the Premier class. Hasn't always been his own fault, of course, wiped out by Pecco Bagnaia in the season opener in Qatar, and unfortunate to crash out in very tricky conditions 14 days ago in Mandalika.
And Luca Marini, a surprise rider, you have to say, in many respects, to qualify in the front row of the grid, but a brilliant job that he did yesterday afternoon in qualifying. His weekend was really made in the final minutes of free practice 2. He snatched that 10th position in free practice 2 away from Miguel Oliveira, and it really factory Ducatis on the front row of the grid for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix last year. This time, though, in Argentina, Luca Marini will also be going from the outside of the front row, with the likes of perhaps a row on the grid further back than he himself expected.
Yeah, and that incident that Lewis just mentioned in qualifying yesterday cost Jack Miller quite dearly. He's going to have to start from 14th place. He was initially qualifying in the middle of the 4th row in 11th. It hasn't just been Aleix Espargaro creating big headlines for the factory Aprilia team this weekend in Termas de Rio Hondo. For the factory Aprilia team, can he find his first top 6 finish on that RSGP today?
Aprilia, of course, chasing not only their first Grand Prix victory in the MotoGP era this afternoon, but the sole rider from a permanent point of view for Repsol Honda. He's got a temporary replacement in the form of their test rider, Stefan Bradl, but the 93 flags that you can see there and caps in the grandstand, unfortunately, Marc Marquez is not here. The diplopia that ended his season early in 2021 after a crash in training ahead of the Algarve Grand Prix returned following that vicious high side in morning warm-up last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, should I say. This weekend's Grand Prix, we expect to find out on Monday or Tuesday if Marc Marquez is likely to return at one of his favourite venues on the calendar, the Circuit of the Americas, next weekend.
Alex Rins there, we just saw briefly on screens. The Team Suzuki X-Star rider starts from 7th place on the grid, the head of the 3rd row. Rins got a great record here, 5 finishes previously in Termas de Rio Hondo. They've all been top 5. Keep an eye on this man as well. Do not discount the hard-charging Sunday man, Brad Binder. He was really unfortunate at the end of that second qualifying session yesterday. We thought he might be breaking Aprilia hearts. On his last lap, he was up through the first 2 sectors by the small margin of 4 thousandths of a second, but a mistake coming through turn 6 when, with a bit more lean angle, he just caught the shift lever and shifted up to 5th gear, and that just disrupted his rhythm in that second sector. Brad Binder, 11th place. He has got good race pace, though, and as we say, he's a Sunday man. Watch him charging through. Just underlines once again just how competitive MotoGP is. You're going to Aprilia for pole position here in Argentina. Pecco Bagnaia, unfortunately for him, was nowhere near that battle for pole position. He wasn't even in qualifying 2 yesterday. He has to start from 13th on the grid alongside his teammate Jack Miller, who was relegated 3 places due to the penalty we alluded to a moment or 2 ago. But a desperate weekend in many respects for Pecco Bagnaia so far. Only 1 point to show, of course, from his first 2 Grand Prix of the season, and some valuable championship points, because boy does he need them. Johann Zarco, a welcome return to the top 3 for him last time out in that wet race in Mandalika. The 31-year-old Frenchman, that was his first podium in 13 races since the Catalunya battle in Barcelona last year. It was from his first heroics in qualifying yesterday. Miller with a lot of work to do. He's actually sandwiched in between two Italians, Pecco Bagnaia and Franco Morbidelli, on that fifth row. Fabio Quartararo, what can he do from the second row in sixth place? But here we go then, the stage is set, Surely there's never been a better chance for Aprilia and for Aleix Espargaro to break their long victory duck in this MotoGP World Championship. He's already given the screen of that Aprilia a bit of a reassuring tap. Now it's the tank. He's just hoping that that motorcycle can hold together underneath him, because based on what we've seen so far this weekend, his stunning performance, not just in terms of one lap speed in FP2, he had great race pace in that second practice session, on pole position. He was supreme again this morning in the morning warm-up session. He's the big pre-race favourite. Short odds on Aleix Espargaro. Today is the day. It looks like destiny. It's written in the stars for Aleix Espargaro to mark his 200th MotoGP appearance, potentially from the top step of the podium.
Discussing the history that he's made, of course, just this weekend in Argentina. Of course, we've already touched on the fact that it's his 200th Grand Prix today in the MotoGP class. He then took the first pole for Suzuki on their return to MotoGP, and that was Aleix's last pole in the 2015 Catalan Grand Prix. He now starts with pole for Aprilia. You just saw René Bastianini a few moments ago. He's, of course, going into this race as the World Championship leader, largely due to his victory in the opening round.
Manager throughout this weekend, it seems like it looks like it will be. Everybody will go for the hard front, soft rear tyre. Will there be anybody that might just roll the dice? We'll get the Michelin tyre information sheet very, very shortly, and we'll try and keep you posted on what the tyre selections are.
A few riders did experiment with a soft front tyre this morning, although I don't think that was necessarily with a view to the race. A lot of riders this morning wanted to check rear tyre consumption. Alex Rins in free practice 2 is the preferred option. It is a race that is particularly tough on tyres here, this Tomás de Rio Hondo circuit, so it is important to try and keep some tyre left for the closing stages of the Grand Prix. From Aleix Espargaro's point of view, many riders are identifying the first couple of laps of this race because they feel that Aleix Espargaro, with the race rhythm that he showed in free practice 2 yesterday, he was able to lap in the high 38 should I say, and certainly low 39s for fun, whilst many riders struggle to get out of the mid 39s. If Aleix Espargaro can get the start and get into his rhythm early on, there's a real fear amongst his rivals that they won't see which way he goes.
As we mentioned before, this seems like it is the day for Aleix Espargaro to finally shine. He's had so many opportunities throughout his Grand Prix career. This is his 284th Grand Prix start. 32 years of age now, Aleix Espargaro. 2022, fourth in Doha, was only Aprilia's 10th top six in their MotoGP history. And here we are, what, about a month down the track, thinking that today could be the day that they finally are race winners in the MotoGP World Championship. I'm sure we've got a mixture of an excited and very tense Aprilia Racing boss Massimo Rivola down the grid with Simon Crafar. Aleix Espargaro on pole, Maverick Vinales.
How does it feel to have both of your machines in the top 5 and be on pole position today, going into the race?
Actually, pole position is quite new for us. It's a nice view from here. Aleix is ready. He's very mature. He's confident. Let's be focused on today. But
so good race pace. Can you give us your thoughts?
And to be honest, Maverick as well.
It's crossed for you today.
Me too. Thank you.
A bit of a nervous laugh at the end there from Massimo Rivola. You can certainly understand why. You just saw a look at the grid a moment or two ago, and according to that sheet that we saw, certainly the initial view is that all the riders have gone to the grid on the hard front, soft rear. Marc Marquez is training hard to try and get himself back. We hope to see him again in the near future. As I say, we expect to hear in the next 48 hours or so whether we'll see him in the Grand Prix of the Americas. But just to touch upon the grid that you saw a moment ago, it's Aleix Espargaro, of course, on pole from Martin and Marini, with Pol Espargaro, Maverick Vinales and Fabio Quartararo on row 2. The Suzukis go from
Bramac and your man Jorge Martin second on the grid. Also Johan Zarco looking quite good all weekend. Can you tell us your thoughts going into today's race?
No, we are happy about the tires, especially because it's very critical in the last races, and we are very confident about the durability of the rhythm. I think Aleix have a little bit more this weekend.
Confident about the race and being able to do the pace. Do you feel the same?
Yes, because the two crashes in the two first races is just unlucky because he crashed with Pecco in Qatar and with the water in Indonesia. For that, we have to do our work in the same condition and as always and try to do our best.
Thank you, Fonzie. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks to Fonzie Nieto. His men, Jorge Martin, of course, on the front row, and Joan Zarco in 9th place as we get the aerial stunt show taking place before this Tomás Rio Hondo battle. Rather them than me. There's not enough money on planet Earth to get me in that aeroplane, I can assure you.
It's been catching our attention, hasn't it, as it's been flying close to the paddock as we've been making our way through over the course of the weekend. Certainly no lack of talent there. We're looking at Darren Binder's motorcycle on the grid.
Yeah, what's going on down there? I'm not quite sure whether there's like a sort of a few anxious faces. I think that's Franco Morbidelli's crew. That's Stewie Miller there in the background. Ramon Facada also there involved, who's Franco Morbidelli's crew chief. Andrew Griffiths is there, yeah, the data engineer. He's also part of the Morbidelli crew, so I'm not sure if there's some kind of an issue on the grid. I don't know if you can find out, Simon. We'll quickly go down to, well, we can go down and find out maybe what's going on with the factory Yamaha of Franco Morbidelli. Oh, it's Andrea Dovizioso, of course. I'm thinking about last year. So we'll go down to Maya Merigani with Monster Energy Yamaha boss.
Yes, I promise I'll race down from here and find out what's going on down there. But Mayo, I have to say, Fabio looked fantastic, like a safe bet, it looks like, from the outside for the podium. I want to know, more importantly, your thoughts.
Yeah, we have the same thought, and the pace he had even today with the really used rear tire has been good. There are him to try to start very well, maybe catching Aleix, that on the paper is the rider that has the better pace. And then we expect that maybe at the end of the race the rear soft will drop a bit, but anyway, this is the choice that everyone took. So we expect that also others will have to pay with this problem. The braking, even though his feeling was good, but in terms of results and also data, we could not see what we were looking for. So this morning we came back and the feeling was immediately back as it was before. So he already...
I've been prescribed glasses, of course, apologies. I was so used to seeing Stewie Miller and Andy Griffiths and Ramon Facada working with Franco Morbidelli. Of course, they're now part of Andrea Dovizioso's crew. So yeah, I need to pay another visit to the opticians, I think, when I get home from Texas.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that bike, whether they've got whatever issue it is fixed with Andrea Dovizioso, who's got a pretty decent record around here, I have to be said. He's got a couple of podiums here in the past, 2 podiums back in 2015 and 2019, although he perhaps lost a potential podium in 2016 when he was taken out by his then teammate Andrea Iannone, although we'll potentially move past that because I'm sure Andrea Dovizioso doesn't want to be reminded of that particular moment. But it's an interesting race ahead for the factory Yamaha team. Fabio Quartararo going from 6th on the grid, Franco Morbidelli from 15th. Quartararo seems pretty happy with his pace, but he has to try and come through from the back of the second row. We hear it's a problem with the generator for the tyre warmers down there on the grid on Andrea Dovizioso's bike, so seemingly no great issue with the motorcycle itself. So Andrea Dovizioso... Excited,
of course, to see MotoGP back in South America for the first time since 2019. There'll be local dignitaries also involved in the new grid ceremony, which will include the MotoGP trophy stand with the race-winning prize here at the end of the 25-lap Michelin Grand Prix. It's been a dismal weekend so far for the factory Ducati team. Pecco Bagnaia 13th, Jack Miller 14th. Let's hear the pre-race thoughts of their team manager, Davide Tardozzi, with Simon.
Yes, as my colleague Matt just said, we'd love to hear your pre-race thoughts about both Pecco and Jack.
About his warm-up, but we'll see if he will recover during the race. The small problem he had. While I'm confident that Pecco, if he have a good start, he can do a fantastic race.
Thank you, Davide.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks to Davide Tardozzi. So Jack Miller, not the pre-race boost he was looking for. Not a great warm-up. It was extended to 40 minutes this morning. A chance for riders to work on race setup with the lost track time here from Friday. Jack Miller ruining that sort of... Of course, Danilo Petrucci created history, didn't he? I'm just looking out that commentary box window, actually. There is smoke pouring away from Darren Binder's, or near Darren Binder's with you Yamaha plane, either, is it? Yeah, there you go, from the long range shot from the camera. There was smoke pouring out of I think it's again a generator issue with Darren Binder. As we look at 2012 generators on the grid for Andrea Dovizioso and Darren Binder, part of the With You RNF Yamaha team. That's not smoke from their generators, by the way, although it might well be, the way they've been giving off smoke from the grid. That is from the stunt plane, which is doing a great job building up the atmosphere for fans here in Termas Rio Hondo.
But yeah, as you mentioned, Joan Mir, he had an electrical problem at the start of qualifying too, which is kind of, but yeah, as we mentioned in Walmart, they've kind of flown under the radar, which that stunt plane certainly isn't at the moment. But they feel fairly confident that they can move through the field later on today. Alex Rinsfield.
So there is Luca Marini, just a second front row start of his World Championship career. Marco Bezzecchi's teammates had a couple of heavy spills so far this weekend as well. He's going to go from the middle of the 6th row in 17th place. Great job by the Termas Rio Hondo staff, of course, to rebuild the main pits and paddock complex. It was all burnt down and destroyed, sadly, in a fire here just 14 months ago. In the zone, trying to keep the focus, block out the tension, block out what's going to lie ahead in the next 25 laps or so. As we will get ready for the special national anthem, we will take a short pause.
Libertad, libertad, libertad. Hoy del ruido de rotas cadenas, ve del trono a la noble igualdad. Y a su trono dignísimo abrieron las provincias unidas del sur, y los libres del mundo responden al gran pueblo argentino salud, al gran pueblo argentino salud. Y los libres del mundo responden seguir, coronados de gloria, vivamos. Oh, juremos con gloria morir, oh, juremos con gloria morir, oh, juremos con gloria morir.
Great scenes here then at Termas Rio Hondo. MotoGP back in South America for the first time in 2019. 35,500 people inhabit Termas Rio Hondo, just a short drive away from this famous circuit. Not a lot of them have been getting much sleep, as the passionate and vibrant South American fans have enjoyed our first return here in 3 years. As we mentioned, some of those officials there have done so much great work in getting this Grand Prix here back after the paddock and pits complex was completely destroyed by a fire back in February 2021. Quickly back down to you, Simon, on the grid.
Livio, Supo, Livio, going into this race, I think there could be some blue on the podium. Do you?
I hope. You think, I hope, and I think we both could be right, because
7th on the grid, Joan Mir in 8th place. There's a support here for Fabio Quartararo. The French fans have made a long trip here to the Termas here in 2017 before it obviously all went horribly wrong. That relationship ending in rather acrimonious circumstances last year, but he's looking revitalised. From pole position, can he celebrate this milestone weekend in his Grand Prix career with his first MotoGP victory? It's his 284th Grand Prix start for the 32-year-old. He's only ever had 3 career podiums. Will he finally get to taste some race-winning Prosecco? Is there a trophy going back home to Laura and to Max and Mia in Andorra next week after the Austin race in Texas? Massive tension down on the grid, the pressure building up for Aleix Espargaro. Can he finally win a race in MotoGP?
Let's not lose sight of the fact as well that his brother, who we saw just a moment ago, he's also, of course, chasing his first MotoGP win. He starts from the front of the 2nd row Honda. somewhere nearer their Qatar form than their Indonesia form this weekend. They were kind of rescued in Q1, really. All of their riders had to go through qualifying one yesterday, but Paul Espargaro and Kaki Nakagami were both able to fight their way through. Nakagami managed to secure 10th on the grid, which is not a bad effort given that he was testing positive for COVID only a few days ago. Finally tested negative, got here for Saturday morning and was able to take part in the weekend. What can he do from the 4th row of the grid? The Suzukis, they're looking to attack from the 3rd row of the grid. The first 2 laps will be crucial for both Alex Rins and Joan Mir, but Aleix Espargaro is the rider they all need to catch. They all seem to think if Aleix can get into his rhythm early on, he will be able to pull away. He has an incredible pace at the front. Can Luca Marini and Jorge Martin get in front early?
Marquez has gone for the hard option tyre. We know all 4 Yamahas. They're on the extra hard rear tyre.
Yeah, the sun has now come out. As we know, when it does come out here, it is absolutely baking hot. Track probably won't be quite so hot because, as we say, it's only just come out. It's been cloudy so far, so it'll be very interesting to see if it does stay out, how the track temperature might rise throughout, and especially now that we have this extra little game with a different tyre compounds.
You think it's a gamble for Honda to do?
Everything here is ready to start the race at Termas de Rio Hondo. Riders just have one thing on their mind now, being the first to cross the finish line.
We're at Termas de Rio Hondo in Argentina. Round 3 of the MotoGP World Championship. And what a start by Marquez and Espargaro.
Currently running in first place up the inside of Marquez. Bad start right. He's back down to about 6th or 7th away. Well on the Suzuki. He leads Marc Marquez. Valentino Rossi bumped out a bit at turn 2. LCR Honda with Andrew right behind him. It's Marc Marquez now leads that turn 2. Dives straight back up the inside.
Leads away through turn 3. This is the fastest part of the circuit, 1 kilometre long. So they come down towards turn 5. They can all be right. Perhaps not for long. The extra horsepower of Honda just races past. Marquez will try and break them up very early on because of his tyre choice.
Aggressive move up the inside, a bit to 3rd place and rides around the outside of Espargaro at turn 6 in the chase of Marc Marquez. We said it was a bad start for.
They come down now into turn 11. Marquez is getting away at the front.
Turn 11, Marquez already trying to make a break. 3/10 of a second up he was through the first 3 sectors. Started 8th, he's in 8th place at the end of the first lap. No big move from the 36-year-old at the moment. It's Marquez that leads on this 2nd lap. Marquez already a 2nd clear of the field, to 6th.
Yeah, he's being pushed back by the 2 factory Ducatis. Marquez still leads the way, getting into some sort of rhythm. Didn't make such a good start in Austin, but from the 2nd row of the grid, super start by the British rider. But Marquez won here last year, he's winning here. This race may be decided in the last 5 laps.
That was just the start that Aleix Espargaro wanted. Somebody was out wide there coming through turn 7. Quartararo had the inside line though, down to reverse corkscrew though. No, he gets his nose wiped on that front. Well there through turn 17. The last 2 corners have been weak points all weekend for Fabio Quartararo. It's made up 5 places. He's into 15th, but he's got a long way to go to get anywhere near 3rd. Aleix Espargaro on the Aprilia has been strong as well from 13th. He picked up 3 places to get himself inside the top 10. Nakagami's going the wrong way. He's 5 places from 20. He's already in the points in 15. He made a good start. Rossi down into turn 14 then on lap number 2. It's Nakagami, the pole man, that has the advantage. Now wine time. 5 riders that have been mentioned a lot over the last 24 hours are all in the top 5. On Quartararo, then he's down to 8, completely the wrong way. In a MotoGP battle, just going to give it back to him on the brakes into the first corner. That's going to be tight.
That is tight. That's very
Marquez out front. He's expecting a top 10 of himself here today. He's back now down to about half a second. Mir at the moment has not been able to show Aleix Espargaro the front wheel of that Suzuki GSX-RR. Those still two men had great pace on well-worn soft rear tyres. Bagnaia versus Marquez. That's how a lot of people thought it would pan out early with Marc Marquez. Bagnaia leads from. So how this race might pan out, the latter stages are crucial. Marquez closes right up on Bagnaia on the brakes down the hill into turn 12. Miller has found a few riders further back. Paul Espargaro has dropped down to 12. Well, he's down in 19th, and after Marc Marquez, he's in 2nd, chasing Bagnaia. He's in a factory Ducati sandwich as Jack Miller just pitches a half a very, very fast indeed. One near Ben Martin, and then another gap back to Fabio Quartararo. He's losing 48.6, which was only a whisker slower than Bagnaia. Just now, of course, he's got to try and find his way back onto this lead battle without a rider who comes into this with 2 top 8 finishes in his back pocket.
20th on the grids.
Yeah, I suppose the jury's out on Rins' prospects about how much further he can overstress, maybe that rear tyre overheating in these hot ambient temperatures, hot track conditions as well, particularly on the left side when you cut dry grip as well, so that may well be a problem that Aleix Rins encounters late on.
Bagnaia so far so good, but there's him at the end of races, traditionally in 2020.
Marquez lost Marquez's backyard. Now is a role reversal. We're in Pecco's backyard, and Marquez wants to spoil the back of Bagnaia's corner. We've lost places to Rins and Quartararo already. Bagnaia's been in this position before in Alabama to try and beat the Ducati man on home turf last time out. Can he exact revenge here on Bagnaia in his home Grand Prix, and then through the fast kink? All year long we've heard Mark, with that sort of 5 or 6 bike lengths Bagnaia's able to take, then it's really, really hard then to recover it back in the braking zone. Marquez just a little in there, just a little bit longer. No one wants to see Marc Marquez +0. Fabio Quartararo on the last lap said his personal pretty heavy traffic at the moment. The Frenchman still can't quite get close. He's pulled that on board out the front. It runs off to Portugal, but could be an awful lot of twist and turn to come. There's 20 laps still to go here with the race team. Is there for him to take any crazy risks? He's ridden so smart and intelligent all year long. He's had the brains to take the victory, and that's not a foregone conclusion with 20 laps to go and a certain Marc Marquez.
Valentino Rossi lost 8/10 of a second to the Italian on the 8th, struggling to stay in touch with this second group.
And guys, some of the guys from Brits have just pointed out, looking at Rossi's lap time, he's now actually even quicker than Marquez the last couple of laps.
Wow, Rossi moves in front of them. This might look done and dusted with a 4-second advantage of Marquez. Tyre choice, clear bit of road for Valentino Rossi. Who knows, there's still a long, long way to go. This could have an incredible ending, this race.
Valentino Rossi, we know, has got the extra hard rear Bridgestone tyre on, so durability you would think much better with his rear tyre than those in front of it. Marc Marquez, that's going through turn 7. He loses 1 place to Rossi, almost down at turn 7. He drops back to 4th. Rossi now inside the top 3.
Rossi up into 3rd place.
Oh, wide onto the dirty part of the track. That's why he nearly went down on an LCR Honda.
You would also think, guys, that harder tyre when it's the softer tyre when it drops off, it's going to start moving around an awful lot more. We've seen that kind of stuff doesn't really bother Marc Marquez, but a lot of other riders can get unsettled, especially in the braking zone. So that I think is our first time that the tyre might be dropping. So we certainly need to keep an eye out on Marc Marquez's tyres as well.
Do you think that's a bit early for that, Dylan? There's still 14 and a half laps to go.
No, not at all. You know, we say when it's dropping, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to keep dropping at the same rate. But I think we've seen it use up, let's say, the best part of its grip.
Still the quickest rider on the track. The grip not going away as yet for the Spaniard on lap 11. He was the only rider on the previous lap to remain in the 1:39. Valentino.
There comes Bagnaia side, and Valentino Rossi is boss as well. We've got the 2 Academy boys ahead of them. Bagnaia, he's not close enough.
The Academy was designed to bring through young talent, not necessarily to... Can Rossi cling on to a home podium, a milestone 200 public class podium, force that issue? Well, I just did not see this one coming. Incredible story.
He thought about the move into turn 2 there. He wants to make it sitting on this group quite rapidly. Now here comes Bagnaia side, and Valentino Rossi is boss as well. We've got the 2 Academy boys ahead of them. Bagnaia, he's not close enough. Valentino Rossi, the block pass is coming. Oh my goodness me, that was close.
Oh, I was winning
Rossi, not when he's on a podium. If you're going to make the move, make it clear. I mean,
it's 24-hour security every time he steps onto Italian sausage. Is just giving Mia a chance to creep back into this battle. Looks like he's going to have that 2nd place, which should have been his, of course, in Andalusia a few weeks.
He's back up into 6th.
Trying to pick his moment here. Can. This is going to be tough going here. But we saw Bagnaia just use the braking zone for turn number 8. He's not going to be close enough to strike this time around.
Turn 10 we go. Rossi's slightly wide on exit. They're almost side by side.
Ganging up behind him.
Right then, onto the start up to this crucial podium spot. Because you've probably seen on the screen that's his strongest point, and now Mir is on them as well.
All he can to keep Mir behind him as well.
Well, he might actually be able to do Valentino himself.
Now let's hope that he's perfectly okay. There's your race leader at turn 8. Still, he desperately wants to make it onto the podium for the 200th time with his 2 prodigies. Bagnaia haven't had an all-Italian Puji and Dovizioso.
are able to stay in these positions.
Well, he's coming back towards Pecco Bagnaia. They're throwing everything at this, but he hasn't been able to make a decisive breakaway for the top three.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, Rossi will be feeling that he can do himself a big favour. It's so difficult to predict this one. We've got 4 riders.
Rossi's so good, so late on the
second spot. I need to be getting that spot. I need to buy myself to witness this show that he's put on, because he's...
That quality helmet yesterday was all to do with the famous Spike Lee movie, Do the Right Thing. Well, he's done the round, fired up the inside of Valentino Rossi.
But we could still have 2 Suzukis on the podium as yet. Anything's likely to happen. There's 2 in these final sectors. Bagnaia's lead over Rossi shrinks once more. Another look at Valentino Rossi here. No.
Bagnaia, what a resolute race he's ridden so far. Absolutely sound. This man has been in a class of his own.
Yeah, the 25-year-old rush, some emotion.
It really is, especially after what happened to him over the last 2 races in Brno. And what a response this has been.
25 points are so precious at this moment. Dovi has gone through on...
Not get through on Rossi. Rossi in turn, trying to find a way through on Pecco.
Control, but he's lost a second. He's going to have a proper bite to Valentino Rossi.
Mir's going to have a pop. Is he going to be close? I don't think he is. Rossi's been awesome on the brakes into turn number 8. No, Mir.
And it's not over yet for the podium places.
4.3 seconds behind Marc Marquez with 15 laps to go. We know that Rossi's got the extra hard Bridgestone rear tyre on. He should keep grip for longer as the race distance goes on. There is Marc Marquez, number 93.
That surely is going to be in favour of the championship leader. It's a big gap, 4.1 seconds, but he has made the correct tyre choice for him, certainly. Eyes to close up on him at turn 5. Here is Marquez. Here we just keep ploughing on at the front. Made the decision on the grid to take the hard rear tyre rather than the extra hard rear tyre, which suggests everything is fine here, but it may go off towards the end of the race. Will it affect him like it affects most people? Probably not.
Probably not at all. This is Marquez up through turn 9. Calvin has dropped back down to 5th. Last lap made a pass to move into 4th place, but coming through the field. He was running in 10th. 2 laps to go. He's passed the Espargaro brothers to move into 7th. Aleix Espargaro, of course, started on the 2nd row of the grid. He's in 8th. There is the race leader, Marc Marquez. This is 13 laps to go into turn 5. The gap still just over 4 seconds.
Super to watch him through turn 5 into this sweeping turn 6. 12 and a half laps ago. He won the race here last year. Bided his time. It's a different race. He only took the lead, I think, on lap 17 after being down in 6th place. And was a comfortable winner. He's not letting Rossi get away in their battle, the battle they had for 2nd place in Austin just a week ago.
The gap on the last lap between Marquez and Rossi, just 6 thousandths of a second now. He's dropped back into the 139. He's a tenth of a second slower than Valentino Rossi, so he's not letting his compatriot run away in 2nd place. There's Marquez now, coming down into turn 12. This is the final, this is the penultimate corner. This is 13. Marquez there on the screen through turn 14. Now let's have a look at the gap as he comes over to start lap 14. Marquez 4 seconds clear of Rossi, so Rossi not really making any impression.
He's not, but he's not increasing it at the moment, is he? Which, well, and if everything we're told by Bridgestone,
then a 10th off for Pecco Bagnaia.
Well, Pecco Bagnaia is favoured, isn't he, Steve, for being this ice-cool character. But he's never been in this situation, close quarters with Marc Marquez. Really, not very often, if at all, in 2021. Beckoning and putting right on the rear tyre is a certain 8 times world champion, one of the best we've ever seen.
Is he going to line up a move into turn 1? Is he close enough? No, not quite.
They're again a couple of tenths quicker than his teammate Pecco Bagnaia.
Did not expect to see this from the Frenchman today.
Not at all. He wasn't many people's pick for the race victory. He had big doubts himself, got a second advantage on Nakagami. He's coming under pressure as well now, Steve. In the groove, front tyre pressure went through the roof, didn't it? And I just wonder whether that's a similar problem here today.
Yeah, well remembered, yeah.
Good ride from the Spaniard because he started way down in 18th place. He's fought his way back into the top 10 in 9th, chasing down his brother Aleix on the factory Suzuki, who's currently running in 8th. This is batting for 11th Here's Valentino Rossi currently running in second place. Picked up a couple of tenths of a second on this lap through the first sectors. The advantage down to 3.8 seconds.
Yeah, this is going to be crucial. We're going to be looking at those lap times so carefully, just to see if Valentino Rossi has got any sort of an advantage. It could be an amazing end to the race. Let's have a look. It is coming down, Matt. It is coming down.
We're getting into the stage of the race where that extra hard tyre should be really coming to Valentino Rossi. You can see on the front there, he's got that front there, he's got that red banded hard option front. Marquez now has crossed the line to finish lap 14. Rossi over the line now, the gap down to 3.7 seconds.
Just be interesting because they've just told Marquez what's happening. 3.7 is still a mighty big gap, but they've told him he's starting to close. Let's see what he's got now. Really push on to try and open it up again. It's going to be a fascinating last 11 laps.
Keeps the pressure on Valentino Rossi, the number 4 on the factory Ducati. He's just set his best lap of the race so far, a 1:39.660. There he is, right behind Valentino Rossi on the back straight. The two Italians have dropped way down in 6th place, 2.2 seconds back.
Where Rossi's now got a... Here comes Mia! He's going for it! They're almost touching!
Oh, what a move
was that?
What a move! That is a young man in just his second season in MotoGP. Up the inside, there was hardly any room to make that move. 2020 MotoGP, we love you. What another astonishing show.
Comes Mia. He attacks straight away. Straight away. That's just class. Here comes Mia though. Up the inside. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Drag Mia then. This isn't over. Mia could still be on the podium here. Yeah. He's going to have a proper bite to Valentino Rossi. Can he get into the slipstream on the start-finish straight? Yes, he can, and he's got the drive as well. And charging through, surely into second place. There's defence coming from Frank. This isn't over. Mia could still be on the podium here. Yeah. He's going to have a proper bite.
Accelerates down into this hollow. Palmer breaks that into Vale. They're about to click through this second sector any moment now. Rossi will take it first. What a start though by Rossi. He toughed it out, braved it out through Dillon corner, and he's already opened up a lead of over 0.6 of a second. Rossi gained a whole bunch of meters until
he's getting closer and closer.
What a start though by Rossi. He toughed it out, braved it out through Dillon corner, and he's already opened up a lead of over. Marquez got a really poor start.
It's an opening lap of his 400th Grand Prix. This is from Valentino Rossi. And he's getting closer and closer.
Davide Brivio can't look. Rossi's coming. Rossi's coming.
You know there's going to be a move. You just know it's coming.
He's not going to have a top 6 since those 2 maximum 50.
Astonishing. Would be a handful of points. Valentino Rossi there. He just lost half a tenth maybe into turn 8. What I can tell you is we are going to have another in MotoGP for 2020, whatever happens here.
And Valentino Rossi. This would be so circuit. Almost as close as brothers, aren't they, this pair? When you think of all the trolls, would be such a great result for the pair of them.
Well, his races have not been his fault.
No,
and one of them, he was well positioned to possibly get 20 on.
Course, to be taking that 200th podium, although that's not a given because Miller and we're still not even at half race distance. Lavishing praise on Yamaha for locking out that top 4, but of those 4,
wow, I mean,
everybody thought it was going to be, well, it was going to be Vinales and Quartararo.
Yeah, exactly. If you'd have asked me now,
it's so costly for Fabio Quartararo today. That's gapped Miller behind him.
Is Miller just starting to find it?
Not a lot wrong with Pecco Bagnaia.
He's having a big look over his shoulder there, Jack Miller. I think he's got a bit of trouble.
He wasn't in the Andalusian Grand Prix when that cruel mechanical problem denied him a stone first podium finish in MotoGP. Well, that's also start posing a real serious problem. This is going to be fascinating with clear track ahead of him. How quick a look up the inside stretched his lead over Rossi to over a second. At the moment, Ross shape of Rins and Bagnaia.
His fastest rider actually was Juan Mir, number 36,
yeah.
30 behind Jack Miller.
Yeah, and that lap time Miller because he was 1.4 seconds playing his get out of jail free card. Big start today because GP World Championship. How many more twists and turns are we going to get in the road? 13 laps to go. Look how quickly Bagnaia have dispensed with.
I mean, just nobody can keep any consistency in MotoGP in 2020 at all. So might be set to continue after this.
There Outstanding success, real stars of the show in many respects in 2020, and what a lap time that is from the race leader, a 1:32.748. It's a personal, was half a second quicker. Goes down, that was a factory Ducati, it was Pagino. There's unbelievable fire from the Ducati. Oh, what a dramatic start, and the bike's on fire. Maybe the tyre hair fence is on fire as well. It's into his Yamaha. What early drama we had. Confined over the top of that, too eager on the throttle through the Stoke corner, launched over the high side, down he went, all the factory Ducati's World Championship, surely that has gone, what a massive moment, the 2019 World Championship. Can you believe it? They're trying to get that bike out there. That the 41-year-old behind him, and now Rossi can forget about it.
He's got some work on, hasn't he, to try and hold on to this podium, because there's some good speed going on. But we're both quicker than Rossi, Rins and Bagnaia last time around.
Marquez over the line now to start lap 16, the gap down to 3.4 seconds. Rossi's taken another 3/10 out of Marquez.
Maybe little Marquez can do, because if he pushes too hard, he may find himself in major problems. If anybody can handle this situation, he can. And he looks like a man that really is on a mission at the moment, through 2, up towards 3 and 4. Keep an eye on those lap times. Rossi is on the charge, and he has a better choice of rear tyre as the race goes on and on.
Miller's got to try and absolutely launch it through Baggett's and Beckett's here to get close enough, and he can't. The acceleration of the Aprilia is so good. Can he force Aleix into a mistake, maybe into turn 7? He's trying to bite back, they're almost touching. They now go into the loop. Miller has the inside line. Aleix though comes back at him. They're side by side as they fight for the remaining podium spot.
Entry, and it's Aleix that will have the advantage. It shows how desperate he is for that first podium finish for the factory Aprilia team. Look at the tight defensive line that Aleix now runs into Brooklands. He'll have to keep it tight on the inside as well. Can the Ducati and Miller use the power through Luffield or Woodcote? Aleix what, 200 metres away from history?
The gap now through the first 2 splits down again to 3.1 seconds. Rossi edging ever closer to Marc Marquez. 18 by Valentino Rossi. You can see on that graphic there, the gap down by 4/10 of a second, from 3.127 seconds to 2.748. So Rossi good through the third sector with that extra hard rear tyre.
Back another 10th through the third sector. These are crucial, these graphics coming up. Absolutely crucial, because it just will give us an indication as if Marquez is having the slow with the tyres, if he's been looking after the tyres, and Rossi obviously very fast, very consistent, very confident in that rear tyre. Here we go. Again from Marc Marquez. This is 14, I think, isn't it, coming into the straight corner speed, 150 kilometres.
Rossi another 2/10 of a second quicker through the third sector, edging ever closer to Marc Marquez. It was only 3 or 4 laps ago. The gap was 4.1 seconds. Has recovered 1.7 seconds as Marc Marquez crosses the line now to finish lap 18. The gap down to 2.314 seconds. Rossi has just set a personal best lap of the race, a 1:39.399. He was almost a full second quicker.
Dylan, our tyre man. It looks like it's happening, doesn't it?
This is exactly what Bridgestone were predicting. They said the tyre's going to drop off that hard a lot more. The thing is, will he have anything in reserve? He might be waiting to see whether Rossi can catch up or not. That would be the clever thing to do, but you know, this was a gamble which Marquez took. They knew exactly, and he knew exactly, he had to run out, he had to build that gap because they would catch up at the end. Maybe they're a bit surprised as to how quick Valentino's catching up.
Rossi is catching him all the time. It's coming down to almost 2 seconds now. There's those top speeds, but Rossi is closing. There's still 6.5 laps to go. Marquez must know now that the championship leader is closing all the time. That is the gap down to 7 and 8.
Less than a second behind Valentino Rossi. 6 laps to go of the Termaster Rio Hondo circuit. Marquez coming under intense pressure. His lead down to under 2 seconds. Rossi has found nearly 3/10 again through the first sector. The lead 1.7 seconds.
Rossi, that familiar big right leg goes out. It's a masterclass of riding. by the master of Grand Prix racing, but catching him and then passing him may not be so easy. Dylan, is Marquez keeping something in reserve, or is he just having to ride as hard as he dares?
Well, I'm still down here with the Bridgestone guys. They're saying they're not entirely sure, because if he is pushing, then that's actually going to be very bad for him, because the tyre's just going to drop off more and more. The thing he should be doing now is try and keep it as smooth as possible, because at least then when Rossi does catch up, then he might have a bit more in reserve. So it's more him who's got to keep a calm head. But you know, this is exactly the kind of situation that they were predicting beforehand. We might see some of them start pushing, so let's keep an eye on Marc Marquez, whether there comes this point where he pulls the trigger and says, now I don't have much left, now I can really burn the tyres up.
Marquez will not give this up without an enormous fight. You know that, 4 laps ago, Rossi in second place. The gap now, 1.157 seconds. Inching through that second split just to see the gap. He's got him in his sights, he's not quite close enough. You've got a glimpse there.
Just a quick shot there of Marquez checking the track temperature. Is that hard option rear tyre going to hold out for the victory? 4 laps to go. Valentino Rossi powers down the back straight. The gap now 0.6 of a second on the brakes into turn 5. Rossi as close as he's been all race.
He's got him in his sights. There's the track temperatures all the way around. It's a lot hotter than it has been for the day so far. It's getting late. It's coming up to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here. The sun has only really come up in the last couple of hours. Marquez made the choice of using the hard rear tyre, not the extra hard. Rossi, from the word go, said he was going to use the extra hard. Has made the right decision. 3.5 laps will tell us.
Turn 11. Valentino Rossi has taken another 1/10 of a second out of the double world champion. Half a second now, the gap. Rossi almost right. They come to complete lap 22.
Through the right-hander, flick it left over the start line. 3 laps ago, and an amazing Grand Prix of Argentina here at the Termas de Rio Hondo circuit, up towards turn 1. Rossi chasing his second Grand Prix victory of the season, as is Marquez. Rossi closing all the time.
Unbelievable performance by the 9 times world champion through the second corner. Marquez having big moments, that rear tyre twitching as he gets on the gas. Rossi now, this is through turns 3 and 4. Rossi as they power down the back straight.
Will he have a go first time? I don't think he's going to be quite close enough as they come down towards turn 5. He likes 7 and 8, also Rossi for overtaking.
How it looks at the moment, I mean, that's going to go.
What do we say? Quartararo will be the 41s very quickly.
Was Quartararo able to control things again? But they come across the line, he's going up alongside Fabio Quartararo. There'll be some nervous faces over in the Monster Energy Yamaha garage.
A major issue. Drive MotoGP Grand Prix. The Ducati haven't won here in 15 years. But now it's about half a second clear already. Now the gap between Miller and Quartararo. Quartararo against another mid-one.
With the Yamaha of Fabio Quartararo. I mean, it can't be tyres. They can't just fall off a cliff.
Put the tyres.
Yeah, has he overcome the tyre?
Who knows? Oh, and he's wide there as well. He's going to have major problems hanging on to a podium.
Wouldn't it, over just half a lap or something, and see whether or not he's losing power somewhere, or even believe how quick he is. Look, here he goes.
Fabio Quartararo is not racing at this point.
No, he's about to come past as well. There's not going to be a podium here for Fabio Quartararo, which is cruel luck.
Now this is through turn 5, runs it over the curb on the inside. Valentino Rossi now within 0.3 of a second of the Spaniard.
Fabio Quartararo did allude to a little bit on Friday, Steve, about being caught up, isn't it?
I mean, what a moment this is going to be for Jack Miller on the other side of the coin, because out in the dumps, but he said he was going to dig deep. He's talking about rolling roadblocks.
Fabio,
you have to feel for him, don't you?
You just attacking Aleix espargaro through turn 4. And
he was caught now. You can see he's got the speed there, close there.
Quartararo is not only going to lose this race, which Grand Prix and the early championship chase has changed altogether. Unbelievable.
Times does not quite
This one will really hurt Fabio Quartararo. It will sting.
Stays so well out there.
Didn't have to work hard for it. Oh, look over the shoulder when Quartararo gets a face full.
Jack Miller has got to do everything he can by the way out front to hold on that, because Nakagami's lapping half a second. Give it, will he? Fabio Quartararo.
I mean, at the moment, the guy is doing
I wouldn't be surprised very, very quickly if he's not in the 41s for Fabio Quartararo. You really do. It's unfair. It is unfair. We'll find out. I think there's something monumental going on at the fence still. Pair of them. Jack Miller here, the 26-year-old from Townsville. Miller's got a second.
I know somebody who's going to be very, very nervous and very excited watching this Grand Prix back at home. This is right now.
Well, just imagine. I mean, I don't know what time it is over in Oz at this moment in time, but guys, I'm probably through the roof.
And 13, he's got 4. Jack Miller taking this fantastic victory. What a moment this would be.
They're all so nervous down in that side of the factory Ducati garage. Jack Miller about, what, 4?
Guy to take victories you have to when you're a factory rider. It's been a long, long wait since Assen. So calm. I can't believe how calm he looks. But it's just half a lap left now for
He Palms down under right now in Australia.
I've got to be honest, Matt.
Deep into the night there on Sunday evening.
What means to him?
Miller into the famous for the final time on the last lap. And the moment of his Grand Prix career. Latest moment and victory. Forget about Bagnaya's live heart rate. What about Jack Miller's? What about the Miller family back in Australia? The pressure that he's under. He said he's in the trenches. Well, he's digging himself out to the big time right now.
Oh,
Miller's gone
goodness
down.
me.
He's had a big crash there coming out of turn 3.
He's okay.
That was big. That was big by Jack Miller. It's Rossi into Stowe corner. Picks the bike up onto the fat part of the tyre. Accelerates down into this hollow. Hard on the brakes and into Vale. They're about to click through this second sector any moment now. Rossi, a sweeping wide line through Durham corner on his 400th Grand Prix start. Valentino Rossi leads here.
It's raining, but it's raining in Sector 1 and he's already through that. Is it raining on other parts of the circuit? The umbrellas are going up here.
What a time for the rain to start falling yet again here, Bruno. This may well be costing Marc Marquez the chance to fight for a sensational pole position.
Marquez crushes the opposition in Argentina. His first win of 2019.
He's so quick through this first sector. Will he have a look on the inside? He moves to the inside. Rossi's going to take the lead. Rossi on the inside wants it a little bit more.
Valentino GP class final results. Party at the podium. Let's take a look at the MotoGP. This second place finish is an excellent result for both him and his team, giving them hope for the following races. To see the smiles on the faces of the Monster Energy crew. Great to see Valentino back on a podium again.
Valentino Rossi, the 40-year-old then from Tavulia. Remarkably, it's his 197th MotoGP podium, the 233rd of his Grand Prix career.